Welcome to the Never Seen It podcast, the only podcast called the Never Seen It podcast that is worth listening to. Yes, I know there are other podcasts out there called Never Seen It, but this is the only Never Seen It podcast where you get such acts as Shibs the Zombie, aka Justin Holden, Mr. Filipino Grigio himself, Alex Gallego, and of course, what's a Never Seen It podcast without the one-man party himself, Arnie the one-man party, aka Arnold Gallego. And of course, we have a special guest tonight. Joining us from beautiful Las Vegas, Sin City itself, Mr. Donnie Guzman, aka Donnie Appleseed, which that's a great name, by the way. What movie are we watching tonight? What is on the docket? It's the 2000 film Groove, directed by Greg Harrison, logline. An inside look into one night in the San Francisco underground rave scene. Starring Hamish Linklater, as well as Mackenzie Fergens, Steve Van Warmer, and Ari Gold, not to be confused with Ari Gold from Entourage. So the 2000 film Groove, quick rapid fire thoughts from me since I've never seen this film. I think I'm the only person in this group tonight that hasn't seen this film. It made me nostalgic for a bygone era, and it made me weirdly nostalgic for a subculture that I had no part in ever whatsoever. And I also miss late 90s / early 2000s lo-fi tech and the transition into more hi-fi digital tech. See, kids these days, they don't know. My kid's 7 years old. Everything's a touchscreen nowadays. Phones, tablets, computers, cars, refrigerators. My fucking air fryer has a touchscreen. I don't know why. But back then, we still had buttons, we still had knobs, we still had sliders, and all kinds of... I miss how tactile the world used to be. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into it. So this movie is about a rave culture, a very grounded take on one night in rave culture in San Francisco. What I will say really quick is that it sort of reminded me of when we watched Dazed and Confused. It's just that sort of chill hangout movie with sort of a paper-thin plot and story. Like, yeah, there is a story, there is a plot, but that's not what it's about. Arnold, let's start with you, actually. No. Sorry. We have a guest. Donnie, tell me about this movie. Have you seen it before? And if not, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I've seen it before. I was actually the one who recommended watching it. I was surprised that you guys haven't seen it, but I really liked it. I think I'm a little biased. I was growing up in that scene, like around that same time when it came out. It came out in 2000, so I was still in the rave scene, and it's very accurate depiction of what was going on at that time. So I really appreciated it, and I thought it was going to be one of those films where I go back and rewatch it and not really like what I saw, but liked it at the time. But it was I still love it. I still think it's great. So yeah.
What would you say, since you know the culture probably better than I do, I'm sure, what is the most relatable thing about that movie that's like true to real life?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot. Everything from not knowing the location until a few hours prior to the event happening, for warehouse raves, all the way to just the relatable stories within the movie, right? Like for your first time being that person who's there for your very first time, experiencing a heartbreak during that, whether it's you or like a friend, or, even Layla's character, where she's talking about or discovering the fact that, hey, I'm still in the same spot. I moved here to advance in life, and what am I still doing at a rave? Like, I think I've been that character in like every single one of those characters at some point in my life.
Yeah. By the way, Layla is a looker. I think I have a crush on her. How did people know where raves took place pre smartphones, pre social media? How did the word get around back then?
Flyers, baby, just like all paper, right? Like it was just paper flyers, and then you would just hand them out. There was paging at that time was a big thing, and then also
word of mouth.
AIM, right? AOL was like going into the chats and finding your local rave area. So
BRB.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Yeah, BRB, and then you would call a phone number. They'd release a phone number like a couple hours prior, and then they would give you the directions to either the pickup point or the actual location itself. So that was very accurate.
And all of this was semi-unsanctioned, completely unsanctioned. Like this was all like they weren't really booking these locations. It was just happening wherever they could just make it go on. And that's why it was so clandestine, or did I get that wrong?
No, I mean, I feel like there was definitely some rave events where they had permits. I know there's a venue in California called, or I can't even remember the name off the top of my head, but it was a boxing venue, and they would have
Cadillac Club.
raves every week. What was it?
Cadillac Club. No.
I can't remember. No, I
Yeah.
can't remember what it
Wasn't it
was.
the orange like? I guess
It
it was
was
like
like
the
the
San
Globe
Bernardino, right?
something. It's the
Oh
San
yeah,
Bernardino.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah,
remember.
and
It was
so
like the
those
globe
ones were
or
like,
orange something.
yeah, something like that. Those ones are definitely sanctioned, right? But they were still like super low budget. People would just put them together with, with no real budget, really, just like a bunch of friends putting it together. But then there was some that was completely underground, and you would go to these events not knowing how long it's going to last. Like be there
Yeah.
for a couple hours, and then it was done. And then somebody would take the whole party and take it to their house, and it would continue, just very similar to the movie.
Gotcha. And from what I gathered from this movie, it all felt very grassroots. Is that just inherent in the culture and rave culture? Would you say that's sort of like grassroots type of movement?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so.
Nice.
Was anyone
I
else
would
in
say
that scene?
I would say I wasn't in that scene. I was familiar with it. I had a lot of friends that were in it, but it's inherent in rave culture. But it was also inherent in a lot of DIY. Like rave
Yeah.
culture stems from like a lot of DIY movements, similar to like
Depot.
punk rock, like how you have like remember you're familiar with this, Donald. You ever come across flyers for the generator parties that were out in the desert, the Iron Gate, like
Oh
with
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Caius and
Yeah.
like bands like
Mhm.
Caius, like later on the Queens of the Stone Age, they would have shows where you didn't have it was same sort of like rave culture. There'd even be people who were from rave culture go to those shows just because it was that still sort of that same vibe, that kind of party. Everybody's getting together to do this clandestine thing where it was definitely illegal, no permits whatsoever, but it was just something there that it was the same spirit. So a lot of it was interchangeable. It's same thing with like the hip hop culture in New York. It had these clandestine things. So it was all the same sort of like thing. It's just the music changed slightly, fashion changed slightly, but it's like all taking cues from different predecessors.
hmm
I miss that fashion, by the way, from that era in general. I feel like back then it was more eclectic, it was more colorful, there were more patterns. You look at kids nowadays, how they dress, it's all boring, beige, oversized fucking sweaters and oversized sweatpants.
Blame it
It's all,
on Seinfeld, the dad look.
it's all salmon and fucking baby blue. Um, yeah, so okay, so and I was reading on the trivia that the two DJs in this movie, those are actual DJs. Am I right?
Yeah. Like Polywog and you know what's really cool is
Polywog
like
and
they use
Digweed.
they
Yeah.
use DJs that was actually like from San Francisco or from the West Coast, and
Nice.
the whole thing took place in San Francisco, and you even see places, identifiable landmarks throughout the movie, like the Fillmore and the End Up. That's actually a real place. The pier, all that's really there. So it was all taking place in San Francisco.
Yeah.
What
What do
about
we know about
DJ
behind the
Snack?
scenes on this? Because I that's the only thing I found on IMDb. What do you guys know as far as the making of this movie? Like, what sort of spurred the creation of it? Because I couldn't find really anything on the webs. So what do we know about the behind the scenes? Anybody?
Oh, I didn't even do any research on that.
Honestly, like as far as like my research like has taken me, like I think what you said, Adrian, this movie is very like grassroots style. Like even the style of filmmaking, you can tell was like although they had like a budget, I think of like $50,000 or $55,000 or something
Wow.
like that. It was still very much like when I was like watching this movie, I was like, oh shit, this kind of reminds me of that like a couple of times where my friends would be like, hey, because I wasn't into like drugs or anything, like alcohol and weed mostly,
Mhm.
but I wasn't into like dropping acid or taking mushrooms or anything like that. So I ended up being like everybody's like DD. So they would be like, hey Justin, like we just want to get there and come home safe, and I was the only one with like the car at the time. So I would take people to these places. They wouldn't really tell me where we were going. Just be like, they'd be like, and again, this is like flip phone stuff. I don't have like map or anything. I'm just like, damn. And we just end up at these random like places. And I felt like when the movie like was starting to get going and they started going into this warehouse, I was like, oh damn, this shit reminds me of some places that I've been to myself. Even though I have a very way later start in the rave scene, because by the time like 2008 2009 rolled around, this is when I started getting into it. It was more established and there were like venues for it and things like that, but I have been to my share of like warehouse parties. Or you know what it also reminds me of, that one time like during San Diego Comic-Con, we went to that warehouse with me and Alex. We went to that warehouse industrial goth club. Like it was like that, dude. That shit was crazy.
Well,
like
let's be honest, I can't remember too much of that. I remember getting there and being like so messed up on like being crossfaded, and I got freaked out because I remember seeing like hearing the goth like trance type music, and seeing like the lights in the windows, and I was like, and then off to the side I saw this guy and this couple come out of this side door, and one of them was just in assless chaps, and the other one like the person was pulling him on the collar, and I was like, this is a scene straight out of Blade. If we go in there, there's gonna be blood being dropped on us, and we're all gonna be eaten.
It's funny that you mentioned the lights in the window, because what I immediately thought of was like near like at the end of Poltergeist, when like the lights are like going off in the windows and stuff like that. Yeah, kind of like it reminded me of that a little bit. But Blade 2. But as far as like this movie goes, honestly, I tried doing research on it too, and it's probably just, it was like a DIY, the whole thing pretty much, except for the funding.
Yeah. Well, I just looked it up. It was, so you say it was 50K and it was shot on 16 millimeter, which is it's still a really good format, and you can tell it would have had to have been filmed, because HD cameras weren't really where they are now, and there was no 4K back then, and 35 probably would have been super expensive. So I mean, the fact that they were able to budget for 16 millimeter, I mean, that is pretty impressive. I really liked the lighting. I'm always a big nerd for good lighting, and I really enjoyed the different like stark colors, blue, reds, purples, greens, like that really does it for me. But let's talk about story really quick, because there is a story, and Hamish Linklater is like the main character, I guess. What do we think about the story? I mean, as far as that goes, is it sort of grounded in reality? Did it seem, Arnold? I'll defer to you since you haven't talked much yet. What did you think about the story watching it?
Is Hamish the
David,
like the one?
He's the guy, the white guy. Yeah, that guy.
Arnold, you sound really far away. Is your mic? Sorry, let's just.
Far?
It doesn't sound like you're coming through your mic. It sounds like you're coming through something else. Maybe your headphones.
Oh, wait. How about now?
That's way better.
There we go.
Oops! I gotta flip this around.
Yeah. High production value, as you can see, Donnie.
Okay, doing it live.
Did you buy a vowel before coming on here?
Nah, you're good.
Oh, is that better, guys?
That's way better.
Yeah, that's
way better.
I always forget which is the right side. Okay,
it's the side that has the light on it on the microphone, because we have the same mic. It's got the mic.
Okay, that makes sense. The side with the light on it. Okay.
So tell me, Arnold,
all right,
story-wise, what did you think about the story with David, the main character?
I grew up around that era, and I hung around a lot of people who went to raves, and I really badly wanted to go to one at that time, but I graduated in 2002. I was a troubled kid, so my parents, they did what they could to try to control me. There was no way that they would let me go to one, or any way that I could like sneak to one. So so I never went to one, but like a lot of my friends, they would always fill me in like, oh dude, and everything that they like their whole night when they went to a rave, and sometimes they would bring the rave to like someone's house and try to like they would do like light shows for me and roller coasters, the music and
Nice.
the
Okay, what's a roller
paraphernalia
coaster?
was there.
What's a roller coaster?
All right. So
Yeah, I was about to ask the same thing.
Actually, yeah, I want to know too now.
okay. So say this is me. Right?
Is that Among Us?
No. It's from
It's a
Nightmare
Squishable,
Before
right?
Christmas.
Or was
Oh,
it
it's
Marshall
Sally
Squishmallow?
Squishmallow. Oh, nice.
So then I'm
Sweet.
like really high, right? I'm really high.
Right now?
And I'm like no, not right now.
Nah.
But this was the first time I think that I ever tried ecstasy, and it was like really sketchy stuff. But it was okay. I'm okay.
Also, Arnold, remember this is also audio only sometimes for people.
Yeah,
So
Arnold has a
kind of
pillow.
Okay. So
It
so
loo- it
you
looks
you
like
would like back to back, like I would lay on a friend's back.
Okay.
And my legs, so
Horizontally?
basically, my
Always.
so basically, I'm laying back to back, and I'm looking up in the sky or in the air.
So it is horizontally.
It's at a 45-degree angle, Alex.
And then one of the guys they start rocking around, bouncing up and down like that.
Man.
And then
Are you sure you were at a rave?
I think they just made that up and told you it was a roller coaster ride.
and then somebody.
I think they rode you.
No,
Arnold,
I rolled.
You didn't happen to go into P Diddy's house, did you?
No. But then somebody from the other side of me, they're doing a light show for me,
Yeah.
and so just imagine me, I'm just bouncing up and down like that, and with my eyes all rolling back and like.
I bet they were rolling back.
Oh, so good. I love you guys.
Did your
that
toes
was-
curl, Arnold?
No, they did not. Not until
Did you make them come or did you come?
no. We all came together. It was
Well,
That's the
are
best.
Socialist.
That's all.
wait. You. I meant that we all came together to this party.
Yeah, right.
That's what I meant. It was sort of planned in that way, but then it was like, it was just like a house party, and they tried to bring the rave there to help me to try and make me experience it, since I always missed out on it. I still never went to a rave. Wait, well,
That surprises me because I always thought you went to raves when we were younger. I always kind of felt like you'd always go out, and I was tasked as like a guardian, which I hated. I hated it.
So what it really was, it was just straight up drug party.
Right.
It was just drugs.
Okay,
Yeah.
It was a freak
only just heroin, speed, right?
No, never heroin. It was.
I thought you
Out
snorted
here
it.
in the desert, meth ended up being.
Oh, that's right.
taken,
That's right.
oh no!
It's weird. Okay. That was good.
Sorry, that really had nothing to do with the movie.
No, but that's okay. That's okay because your anecdotes are always the best on the show, and you know that. But seriously, I feel like what you described. I feel like that's not even the craziest thing that has happened at a rave party, if I had to guess. So,
I was probably candy flipping around that time.
candy flipping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, that's a
What
real
is-
one.
Now I have to know, what is that? What is candy flipping?
Okay. So is that like ecstasy?
It's
weed?
ecstasy and acid. I think
Yeah.
ecstasy and acid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were.
Yeah.
I thought ecstasy and acid were one and the same. Are they?
No, they're totally
No.
different.
Okay.
Yeah,
LSD.
Oh,
Acid is LSD, right?
yeah, LSD. Yeah.
But they're hallucinogenics like shrooms as well, right? Or no? Or is that different?
No,
I don't think you
they're different
hallucinate on
types,
ecstasy.
right?
No,
Mushrooms
Ecstasy
are
makes you feel
This
psychedelics.
like-
is the Never Snorted
Yeah,
podcast, by
yeah.
the way. Concept of a podcast. No, okay. But Alex, okay, I know you wanted to talk about this movie a lot, so I want to hear from you now. Tell me Tell me about this movie. Why is it such a? It seems like it's an important movie to you. Why is that?
It's important to me in like a lot of reasons. One, like it's funny because I was never into rave culture. I never had any interest in going. Although I later on started to really enjoy techno and rave music, especially during my days working for the Ace Hotel. I started discovering a deep love for it, from like all the DJs that we book, and I discovered the beauty of rave culture later on, but not in a actual experiencing it. Well, I did go to one. I sort of. I accidentally. So there was I have some friends in a band called the Halloween Swim Team, and they were on tour,
Great
and
name.
they were coming in. Yeah, they're like one of my favorite band names of all time. And they were on tour, and they were coming back, and it was during Coachella, and they were trying to find a last minute show during Coachella out there. It's like, I'll do my best. And I had a friend who was throwing a rave out in like Mecca. And they're like, all right, cool. And they're kind of like a dance music, like a synth. And I was like, they're all like, okay. And it was just so like hackneyed. We just like we all drove there. We met up with them there. A bunch of my friends jumped in my car, and we met at this like desert location and like this date farm, like small date farm, and we were hauling their instruments in there, and it was like, oh, this is a rave. This is not like a show where bands play. So it was super weird for the whole rave. The people, they were just kind of like, they all kind of stopped, and it was just weird. Anyways, it was a weird time experiencing that. But yeah, it's that whole thing. The promoter side, like I could relate to, throwing these shows in like, and one of my favorite lines was at the end where he was like, you're not gonna get like rich off of this. Why do you do it? And he goes, it's for the nod. And it's like, the nod, and it's like, he describes the whole, like, when you go someplace, or these people express, and they see you somewhere else outside of the rave, or even at the end of the rave, the show, and they're like, they come up to you and like, hey, that was awesome. And the gratitude for that is so like beautiful. I miss that part of promoting. Like, that's the way I always saw it. Like, for me, it was about the music and bringing it to other people, sharing my love for certain things, whether it was a comic book convention, a comedy show, like some bands, like hip hop artists, DJs. It was all the same to me because it was something that I loved and cared about, and I wanted to share it. It was never about like money. I can't tell you how many times I put on a show with like my friend Johnny, like during the early days of the Ghost Channel, and
Donnie 5K.
Yeah. He was like him and I were like the ones who founded it, and like we did it because we wanted to bring bands. It was kind of a selfish thing. We wanted to bring bands out here because we didn't want to have to drive to outside of the desert all the time just to see a band play. We're like, let's bring them here and then share it, but also share it with other people that we care about, that we thought would love it. And it turned into this thing, and it became this sort of, and it brought this movement into the desert that brought attention to it, like a lot.
Right.
It was more than just a place for celebrities to vacation. Coachella had already been happening, but it wasn't. There was this disconnect between Coachella and the actual local community of artists and bands that were performing there. But as soon as like us and some other people who were promoting shows around that same time. And then also Sarah Scheidemann, if you remember her, she was doing the
I do.
Coachella Valley art scene. And she
Mm.
was doing like just heavily promoting not just art, not just music, but like art culture and everything like that. Promoting us, promoted us when we were doing the Poor Decisions
show.
podcast, even,
Yeah.
and it was that moment in time where that whole thing became bigger and there was more attention to that. And like, it's funny, like our friend Glenn Coy, who runs Windmill Screen Printing, he had mentioned, he's like, there really should be a documentary about that moment in time, you know, because
I mean,
there were a lot
Lord
of
knows the
moving pieces.
desert needs culture. Sorry.
I mean,
I'm serious. If it wasn't for that local art scene, what would you have in the desert? Strip malls and casinos,
exactly.
and that's it. Like that's all. That's
Yeah.
the only culture there is. But I'm
Well,
glad
and
you
that's the
said.
cool thing. That's a cool thing about
go
it. Like, it wasn't just us; it was you guys, you and Tim and Sam doing the Chuckle Hut. You guys were like
Friends of the show.
creating a movement. I remember that line. But yeah, it was you guys creating that moment for comedy in the scene, where it was being like, people saw the potential of actually doing that as well. So it's kind of like you see, like with promoters, that whole culture, even within this movie itself, Groove, you see the sharing of music. Jonathan Digweed, that was a big deal. I remember that name from like the days of going to Coachella. Like he was a big name producer, DJ there. And I remember like everybody talking about him. And for him to be in this movie is a big deal, is a really big deal. So,
See, I used to be one of those people that thought, oh, anybody can be an AirPod DJ or whatever. But then I watch, besides this movie, like I follow DJs on TikTok and stuff. I'm like, no, there's real fucking skill that you need to do that. And I respect the art form a lot more now than I did back then, because I really used to think like that's all you gotta do is just make a playlist. And I was like, no, there's actual skill required. So
it's cool to see like friends of the show like DJ Day, who's on tour currently doing Across the Spider-Verse live, the soundtrack, and he's their in-house DJ doing all their scratching with an orchestra, which is awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We should get him on the show.
That's crazy. We should get him. Yeah, for sure. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So,
we will.
I was gonna say David in this movie, Alex, reminds me a lot of you because he's a thinker. He's introspective. I was really thinking, I was like that's Alex right there. Am I crazy to say that? Like that kind of reminded me of you.
You might. I do feel a kinship with like that character, simply because. I mean, obviously the promoter, I have a kinship with that, but like with David, one of my notes that I put down was like, it reminded me of a lot of the times back in the day when I was younger and staying up late and like having these amazing conversations with like your friends, just staying up late. I miss that.
Conversations. Remember those, everybody?
Yeah. like being outside, like sitting outside on the hood of a car, just looking out into the stars and having a cool conversation. It was funny. I have a friend. Her name is Erica, and she recently went to a show that I really wanted to go to for this band called Pulp. And I messaged her and I was like, man, I wanted to buy tickets, but I just couldn't. She's like, you should buy some. Like, they have tickets for tomorrow night's show still. I was like, I can't. She's like, then we started reminiscing about things, and she was talking about how, like our group of friends at the time, we would she would either come over to her house, or she'd go to my house, or we'd go to another friend's house, and we'd all just hang out and be talking, playing music, listening to music, and she was talking about how she loved hanging out with us, especially because she at least had a hard time falling asleep, but she's like, I loved your bed because like I would just sit there and listen to you and like, you guys talk and like watch movies or never. And like I was a huge like magazine hoarder. I had like so many magazines in my room. Arnold, you remember that? I had like a shit ton of magazines.
I was like, I got
And
my
she
own
would, like,
magazines too.
She would
I
flip
only
through
for
my
certain
old like
ones.
she would flip through my magazines and be just like fall asleep and just listening to her. Like that's like it was a cool memory that she reminded me of, and that's kind of like what reminded me of like David in this movie and like the conversations we had and like the future was thinking about the future being bright and we had our whole lives ahead of us.
Remember
that time.
Remember those days? My favorite characters besides David, well, David wasn't really my favorite character, but I really liked the gay couple, how they spent the whole movie trying to find the damn rave. And then what happens in the end? They're just like looking over the water and they're just playing music out of their car. I love that moment. That's such a small, but so that's what, like, to me, it's like makes it so realistic. It's like, oh, well, we missed it. Let's just fucking vibe out by the water and shit. So
they made the best of what happened that night. I think that's what the whole thing was about. That ending too. They made everybody except for the couple. But I think even the couple made the best of what they had at that moment because they still ended up hooking up. But then they
see the very end when she's like crying though.
Yeah. Why was she crying? I didn't get that.
I think it was like he got hit with reality, like, damn, I just caught my dude like cheating on me with another guy, basically, right? Like she's trying to make it better. She tried to look past it, and then the next morning she's like,
but he did also feel but he also did feel remorse because if you see him, he's the one in the shower, and he was like very remorseful about it, So
other great moments were what's his name? Ron Swanson, the actor.
Nick Offerman.
Ron Swanson.
He looked so young, but still
he looks the same.
Yeah, like he hasn't really aged that much. That voice, those eyes, that mustache, that was so great. I loved how he walked him around pretending he was like a tech startup and he saw right through his bullshit. And he's like, just keep the music down, keep your ravers inside, or I'm gonna call the fucking cops on all of y'all or whatever it was. That was such a great scene.
I was like, that's a cool cop right there.
Yeah.
I love cops like that.
That's how you know it's a movie because it's a cool cop. What else? What else do you guys want to talk about? What stands out for you guys in this movie? Donnie, I'll throw it back to you. What's like the big? What's your favorite part of this movie?
I mean, it just takes me back. So I think the whole nostalgia behind it, like for me, like the rave scene was, I was really into hip hop, and one of my friends introduced me into this culture, and there was a lot of crossover, like it was very underground at that time. And they were bringing big acts outside of the dance music or the EDM. I mean, I saw like DJ Qbert, Kanye West, Jurassic 5, like those, like some huge names that really came out of like this type of culture. And there was a lot of, Alex talked about it a little earlier, but there was a lot of crossover into all these other, like the punk scene, the hip hop scene, they're all very relatable. A lot of these were just people that did it for the love and really did it with no budget or no real big plan in mind, just to expose the music and get people out there and people to come together and enjoy it,
Isn't that funny how we have fostered a culture where it's like, if you're doing something, you're doing it to make money. It's like, no, you don't, not everything has to be about money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you can do stuff because you want, like we do this podcast because it's fun and we enjoy talking about this stuff and whatnot, and sure, it'd be nice to make money from this, but not everything has to be about making a profit. So I appreciate that aspect of the culture. And I feel like this movie is almost like a love letter to that scene as well. And I don't know if this movie made money on the back end, but I would imagine if it didn't, that probably was like nothing to the director because he didn't make it for that reason. Like, what do you guys think? Like, because it doesn't seem like it was like a movie that turned a big profit, right?
Well, he only made one other movie after this, right? I saw that on Letterboxd. There was this movie called November, and I really want to watch it now.
Yeah,
and it's the premise sounds really cool, and I'm just curious about like this guy. He seemed to have a lot of potential, like just after watching this movie, I don't think it's a poorly made movie at all. Like it's definitely a low budget film, but he did what he could with what he had. And it's funny, like the camera tricks that he uses to make make it seem like it was like a lot of people there, where it was just all these really like close-ups like of the crowd, which is probably only had 30 people there max, but the way he framed things, it was like made it seem as like it was like 100, 200, 300 people there, you know, like especially like when the scenes where there are people running and trying to leave, and then like when they were blown away by the fact that like another party got shut down and they were all trying to get there, and there's like 1,000 people at that party, you know, and they're like, wow. It's like it made it even
like there's like 10 people out on the side of the building. I was like,
exactly.
It was to touch on that a little bit though, is like you're saying with the camera work and things like that. Like now that you mention it, it's like there weren't like a whole lot of actors in this movie, but everything was so like. For me, it was like really grounded. So like when it's like you're a part of being a part of this rave that was happening throughout the night. So it's kind of like you were on the forefront of the whole event itself. Like you were kind of a part of it. I kind of like that, the way that they filmed it in that aspect. Cause when it came to like some of the music scenes, well, I mean, the whole thing was a giant music video, but it felt like you could just put this movie on in the background and just vibe out to the music and not have to really worry about the plot. And I think that was a really cool thing that they implemented in this movie, is just like the music just kept going from the moment it started till the moment it ended. And I mean, not saying that I won't watch the movie again, but if there's ever a time that I need some background music, I'll put that movie on, because I'm just gonna say that movie has a banger of a soundtrack. It's so fucking good. Yeah.
And I was gonna say the budget of $50,000 adjusted for inflation. I looked it up. It's about $91,000 today, which seems like not like a lot, but 50,000 back then, like the dollar was, you could stretch it more. So, but still, like it's still not, even for that era, it's still not a lot of money. So it's super impressive to me that they were able to do what they did with that kind of a budget. But yeah, I really appreciate that it feels like a grounded movie. It feels like something like, it almost, to me, felt like almost like a documentary in a sense, like that's how grounded it was. There was no crazy like hijinks or nothing like that. It was just about these people in one night in that scene, and I really did appreciate that aspect of it. So, what else, Arnold? What was your? How many times have you watched it, by the way, Arnold? I don't think I asked you that.
Only once. This is my first time.
Oh, this is your first time too. Yeah. Okay. What was your favorite? What was your favorite moment from this film?
It was really great to hear the, like the, I don't know. That's the sound of the internet.
The dial-up.
The beginning of the movie.
I love that she's using email in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it. I was like, I relate a little bit to each of the characters. I don't know. I kind of personality wise, with David, the main character, a few things.
You're a thinker.
Did you relate to the guy who was trying to hook up with both Colin and Hillary?
No, I've never been on that end. I've never
just getting massages, right? Getting roller coasters.
I love massages. Side note. But
hey Arnold, was it a wooden roller coaster?
No, it was a steel.
Okay.
Steel.
Just checking.
Because
steel inverted.
No malfunction.
Gotcha.
A little bit to with Colin. Yeah. I mean, like, Colin's the one who proposed, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, a few things I relate with him. But no, it was just really fun. Just an epic movie of like an epic rave night. And like you said, kind of Dazed and Confused was kind of like summer after school is over, but this was like one night. They're like, well, a little bit more, because they did do a little bit of reconnaissance, like okay, are we gonna be able to what were they hack the electricity or something, or like hijack it, steal it?
Something like that.
I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. And so they just to think that they really would do that kind of stuff was man, I feel like I missed out. What a great time. And but I'm glad for my friends who would kind of bring that to me. Um, uh, but yeah, a lot of the things was that I thought was really accurate was like, oh yeah, they definitely need water. Yeah, they need water.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that was not accurate.
Oh yeah,
why so
prefer,
much
like,
water?
Sprite.
You have to stay hydrated with all those with the drugs.
So okay, so I know like weed gives you cotton mouth. So other drugs do that too for some reason somehow.
It's like I think it heats you up, so it's like you're supposed to like keep cool. And then like the fruits, the vitamin C is supposed to like enhance the effects of like ecstasy, for example.
Oh, okay.
Ecstasy too?
Yeah.
I know.
Is there scientific backing in that, or is that just like one of those like?
I never looked into it, but I was a believer.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a funny water story actually.
Yeah,
water story.
Let's
hear it.
So so like water is a very common thing, especially at like parties and when you're doing drugs and shit like that. So that's definitely a common thing. And I believe I may or may not have told this story on the Poor Decisions podcast, but hey, you know what? We'll revisit.
You told a lot of
this
stories on the old show.
Yeah. So like there was this one time we went to like it was like just an apartment rave. So it was like a rave in like a small apartment or whatever. They had someone like doing DJ stuff on like their balcony and whatnot. So like around this time I was like broken up with my ex-girlfriend. I'm bringing Casey back. Oh God. And we broke up, but we were like going to this party together, and all my rave friends were like, "Yeah, man, it's gonna be like the best thing that we have like a DJ that's gonna be there," and yeah, and I'm like, "All right, cool." So I didn't have to like drive anywhere. I just literally walked over. It was probably like 2 blocks away from my apartment. And we get there, and my ex is there too, and like there was a guy, we called him Panda, and he's a big guy. We called him Panda, and like I didn't even step foot in through the door yet. He was like outside of the apartment, and he's like, "Hey, Justin, what's up?" I was like, "Hey, man." He's like, "Hey, you want to smoke this?" And he holds out a pipe. And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "Oh, is it weed?" He's like, "Yeah, man, it's weed." He's like, go ahead and smoke it." I'm like, "Cool, man." So, and then I smoke it, and then I completely black out. almost immediately after inhaling this shit, I completely blacked out. And this is kind of like a retelling through friends that told me like what happened throughout the whole party. So I completely missed the party. But I was there at the same time doing dancing, whatever the fuck I was doing. Not really sure, but there was like a point in time where I was like planted on, and I do vaguely remember this. I was planted on a couch, and there's a strobe light just fucking in my face. Like it was like the strobe light like was so fucking loud. I just heard it, and it was just the worst time ever. It's just in my face, like I'm like, oh my God, dude, what the hell is happening? So
you felt the pixels.
I felt I was the pixel. And I got up, and everybody was telling me that I went around just like asking for drinks, like something to drink and drinks. But I wasn't like very like peculiar on what I asked to drink. I just went up to people and said, "Hey, let me get something to drink."
You did tell this on the Poor Decisions podcast.
Yeah,
I don't remember the story, so
I remember.
Like, you're telling it.
This is a good story.
So what ends up happening is that instead of giving me fucking water, like I'm assuming is what I wanted, they started giving me cups, solo cups of just straight vodka. solo cups of vodka. So I not only am I already blacked out of like whatever weed, I'm starting to get even more plastered with the just straight. It wasn't even like it was straight fucking vodka.
They could have given you alcohol poisoning, bro.
I probably did. Who knows?
shit.
But I got so fucked up, and then and if I wasn't already blacked out enough, I don't remember that night at all.
That's
but,
crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
How old were you at the time?
I was like 20, 21, something like that. Yeah,
You'll bounce back from that for sure.
Yeah, I'll bounce back. Yeah. And then like I ended up in this like weird room that was like dark. They're like, "Oh, Justin, you need to go lay down." I'm like, "I don't need to lay down. I need to I need something to drink, man." So I do remember also like little bits and flashes here is that I forget who it was. They put me into a room. It was pitch black. And there were just people just fucking in there, and including my ex. And it was just like, yeah, Arnold was there in the corner doing God knows what.
So, do you consider yourself that you got? So, would you consider that yourself getting cucked there?
Yeah, I got cucked. I got cucked for sure.
You were getting cucked before it was cool. No,
they didn't even give me a bed. They left me on the ground.
On the floor. No cook chair.
It was on the floor. No cook chair. I was riding the floor.
Did those people care or did they even know that you were in the room, or did it not even matter?
You know, they knew I was in the room, and they cared. They cared in the sense that they were like protecting me, but also at the same time, you have to realize that at this party, everybody else was on like fucking drugs and shit like that too. So nobody knew what the fuck they were doing. I ended up like vomiting outside of their apartment, and then by some miracle I ended up back in my bed at my apartment.
Nice.
With my ex.
That party,
which was crazy.
that party was entitled. That party was entitled "No Cucktry for Old Men."
That was a roller coaster of a story, by the way. Justin.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's all because of the water. But yeah,
Justin, your life is super bad on drugs. I just realized that. Like you kind of live super bad in a way. You know?
Yeah. In between like 2008 and 2011, it was a blur. Those years were definitely a blur. I did a lot of different things. Half of them I don't even remember.
Damn. How old are you now? I should know this. How old are you now, by the way, Justin?
I just turned 36 in August.
I thought you were 34 for some reason.
No,
I don't know.
That's my brother. That's my brother. My brother's 30.
That's so great. Okay, wow.
When you're talking about like blacking out, you remember the part when they're all hitting the night? They had the nitrous tanks.
Yeah, the nitrous tanks. Dude, that shit.
Is that like whippets
too?
Yeah,
whippets. Yeah.
Okay. I thought that shit's bad for your brain.
Yeah.
All that. Yes.
I heard of somebody like they died from it. You know.
Yeah.
You could die.
I remember in one time in high school, somebody had it in a balloon, and then it was right before the bell rang and before class was gonna start, and this guy he inhaled the whole thing, and then he was walking in the class. He's thinking he'd be all cool. Then all of a sudden he just like gets up and he starts walking through all the desks and all the people and all the chairs, and then the teacher was like, "Oh my gosh, he's having a, what do you call it?
A seizure?
A seizure. But I'm like, I know damn well what that was. He just inhaled a whole balloon full of nitrous, and
you know what's funny? That guy could easily be president. Just saying.
You know what? That guy, he has that same color hair. I'm not gonna. I know his name. I can, but I'm not gonna say it.
No, don't say his name.
Yeah.
We'll call him Bob or something. I don't know. Okay. Well, I think we've reached that point. Donnie, do you have any more thoughts in general? Not just about this movie. Just tell us your philosophy. It's all good. That's what we're here for.
Oh yeah. The guest of the
show.
Oh,
I mean, I think we covered everything. Overall, I thought it was a great movie. I really liked it, and I'm a little biased because I was a part of that scene, but I think they represented it well. And I really like that it wasn't just like one big stereotype, right? Like it showed all walks
Yeah.
of life and how they enjoyed it. And so, everybody's there for a different reason. And I think they really brought that into the story.
I was half expecting this to be like Go, but
I've seen Go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different vibe than this.
I feel like
Good movie, by the
anybody
way.
else that's made a movie about raves is like more similar to like a Go story, right? Where this is more like, hey, this is how it actually was like, and it's not just for ravers, but everybody can enjoy it, and everyone's there for a different reason.
Let me ask
I
you
also
this,
kind of.
because
I also
we
kind
all
of.
know-
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Really quick. I'm just gonna say really quick, because we all kind of have different kinds of movies that we like. What's your favorite genre of movies? Do you have a favorite genre? What kind of movies?
Yeah, I like low budget films for some reason. I don't know what it is. I just like how they're gritty, and like I'm a real big I like lighting too. Like when I see like how it's shot, like that's a big thing for me. So I know you had mentioned that earlier. So
Yeah. Do you work? I mean, I know you're in Vegas. Do you work in like hospitality or casinos? Like, what do you do?
I'm in human resources, so I'm a recruiter for a big company,
Nice.
and I just so I talk to people all day on the phone, over and over again, same questions.
Yeah, listen,
Didn't you used
I
to,
work in logistics, so same thing except for overeating.
Yeah.
Didn't you used to do a
Where's
little
my
photography?
refrigerator?
What's that?
Didn't you used to do a little like photography?
Oh yeah. I kind of stopped when Silas was born. My son's about to be 9 now, and so like there's no time for editing and all that shit. So when that happened, I kind of put it away. I still have all the equipment. I have all the lighting. I have strobes. I have everything. I have a bunch of lenses.
Oh, you got
Just haven't pulled it out yet. Yeah.
Well, hopefully your son will someday take up the mantle.
Yeah, I'm hoping to teach him. It'll be cool for him to pick that up and learn.
I joke.
Hey,
with
you have those
two
strobes,
sisters.
Arnold. Donald has those strobes, Arnold. Give me a roller coaster.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. You guys should make your own rave. Or something. We should do a never seen it rave party or something like that. Somewhere in the desert.
Don't tempt me.
Somewhere between
Don't tempt
Vegas and Palm Springs.
You know what I did real quick? We did this like in Vegas when so I moved here in '99. We did it in 2000, and I guess it was very similar to how they did it at the warehouse. And we thought we were slick. We were still using AIM, but we got caught because we did it in a football field, and they saw the lights from the freeway. But it was interesting.
So are you with me? Like, do you miss that more analog / semi-digital era? Like, do you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys? Oh, go ahead.
What's that?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. What was your question?
Oh man, I lost my train of thought.
I thought you were going to say you lost your pants.
We were just talking about if you miss that transition from analog into digital, because like I was saying earlier, it feels like that's just a bygone era and everything.
Yeah.
I do miss that analog. Like nowadays that like everything's so much more like digital, like a lot more
Digitized.
quicker. Like I miss the days like
Digital's cool, right? But you just can't recapture like some of the grittiness that you could with analog.
Donnie, what is your if you had to pick, if you were stuck on an island with one, let's say 2 movies, if you're stuck on an island with only 2 movies,
Oh man,
what would they
don't
be?
do that? That's hard, man. I will tell you, like Eternal Sunshine is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And Amelie is another one of my favorite movies. So those are pretty opposite movies, but like but I like all kinds of movies, but those 2 are some of my favorites.
That's so interesting. From Sunshine to Amelie, it's, like you said, couldn't be any more different from each other.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I watched Amelie once, and I honestly I didn't get it, but maybe I need to watch it again. This was like 12 years ago.
A friend of mine, one of our fans, was telling me that we should watch that one because I've never seen it.
One of your own.
I love that movie. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not on my OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Just say OnlyFans.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Adrian?
I asked you one of your OnlyFans.
No. One of our fans. For the show.
Oh. That's a different fan. And by the way, for those listening at home, I don't think we said it. Arnold, Alex, and Donnie are related, right? Cousins.
Yeah.
First cousins,
Yes.
second cousins, or
Like
Third cousins, I think.
third cousins.
Second or third, yeah. Maybe
Because our mom is cousins with your. No.
with your mom, which
your mom.
makes us
It's your mom.
first
It's your mom.
cousins.
Yeah,
Yeah, because she has all the stories.
We're all Castros. I'm a Castro, right? You guys are Castro
Yeah.
part family.
Yeah.
Oh
Right? Yeah. I think
Oh,
we
yeah.
might be second. I think we're second cousins. Yeah.
Second cousins. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
But we
It
like
all,
we've
goes back.
all hung out, all parties all the time. No raves together, but
No raves.
all the Filipino
Oh.
parties. They could have easily
I'd
been
love to go to a Filipino
raves.
party.
You should. We'll invite you the
I-
next time we have one.
I want to eat the stuff that you make, Arnold. Every time I get so mad because I'm like, God damn it, I wish I could cook like that. Arnold makes some. They look like fire meals. Am I right, Arnold? Like,
Yeah.
You made something recently.
If you say so, but I just had a great idea, man. If we were to throw our own rave,
I'll be with you in a minute.
I'll supply
You
the
would cook?
food. Oh,
Oh, man.
You know how the guy who put the rave together, how he was like, I do it for the nod. I
Yeah.
I get that feeling when how I have this feeling like, oh, dude, I would just want to cook for a bunch, like make a bunch of food and then just feed a bunch of people. Like how he was feeding, like, you got to keep the music going because you got to feed the energy. You got to keep the energy
Yeah,
going.
keep the food coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arnold, I remember you were a chef at one of the hotels I stayed at once in Palm Springs, and you came out all sweaty, and I was like, how do you like this gig, man? And you were like, man, I do it for the rush. I do it for the I just completely drenched in sweat, and you're like, I love it. I do it for the rush. And
I was also on meth at the time, though, too. So
I was probably high on meth.
it might be. I don't know. But that was a great answer, and then you ran back to the kitchen, just like, okay.
I think I totally remember this. I remember you staying there and coming for the breakfast, and then like
Yeah, it was for that's what it was.
you came all calm, like at your girlfriend at the time, and then like I remember happy to see you, and I'm like, oh dude, I got.
She's like,
I got.
that's your cousin.
Hey, Donald. Was Arnold's eyes darting from left and right?
Man, he was moving so fast I couldn't even see, man.
I was probably like, hey Donald, it's so good to see you, man. I'm so tired though.
You know what's funny? I've never seen Arnold mad. I've never seen. I don't know if that's even possible. I know you get mad, Arnold, but I've never seen you mad. Why is that?
How about this mad face?
No, see, you can't do it. I'm not buying it.
You look more lustful.
Yeah, exactly. What was you were mad that one time when you couldn't download a movie or something? It was some movie. It was a movie we did for the show. And
it was for Ghost Dog.
That's
It was during Ghost Dog.
Oh yeah, Ghost
got
Dog.
so upset.
We were trying to use Criterion, the Criterion channel, and
Yeah.
they did the weirdest thing for Ghost Dog. They had a track, a film version that only had the soundtrack, no like dialogue. You couldn't hear any of the dialogue, which was so weird. It's like who just wants to watch a movie with no dialogue, just the soundtrack playing.
It could be a vibe. It could be a vibe.
But, I mean,
Friend here.
throw it on the background of like a party.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Well, I remember in the Slack,
It's like this
Arnold
movie.
was so mad because he couldn't get it to work. And you're like, stupid thing.
My bad.
No, that was funny though. It was funny in retrospect.
Good memories.
That's the kind of thing we like to have on this show, Donnie. And I think it's a good time to let's give our final thoughts. And Donnie, I'll start with you again. What are your final thoughts on this movie? What's your final rating on this movie, by the way? And
How do you guys rate it?
Well, we use the
Honestly,
letterbox.
it's up to you. But we use Letterboxd, yeah.
Yeah, we
Out
do
of
the
5.
letterbox system.
Out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
One out of five. 1 to 5
Right.
stars.
1 out of 5 kisses.
All right. Well, I give this one a 4. I think again I'm going off of like nostalgia and the way they captured the scene. I felt like it was pretty accurate. I mean, there was definitely some inaccuracies, right? But overall, I think it was written really well, considering the budget too. I thought it was done good. So I'm gonna give it a 4. I also while I'm talking, just want to say, hey, thank you guys for inviting me. This has been great, and I've watched a lot of your guys' episodes, and I'm a fan personally. So to be on, it's a real honor for me. So thank you guys.
He's a fan.
I'm a fan.
Love, man.
Well, thank you for. And where can? Sorry, did I miss it? Where can people find you online? Or
Don,
socials?
I think I'm on I am on Letterboxd actually as Donnie Appleseed. I'm on Instagram _Donnie Appleseed, and so that's pretty much it. That's
Let me
all I
ask you
use.
this really quick. What is your rewatchability score? Do you think this movie has a high rewatchability or a low?
I mean, I'd probably give that a 3. I'd rewatch it again. I'd definitely rewatch it again. I'd keep it in rotation once in a while. But so one of those movies, now that I've seen it twice, I'd have to be in a mood to watch it, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, let's go to you. Final thoughts, social medias, final rating, all that good stuff.
So some final thoughts. I love the fact that, like, we were talking about how the promotion of these shows were like analog, the flyers, phone
Zines.
lines. Yeah, people are making still, like, to this day, making not as regularly and like as prolifically as it used to be, but people still make zines about like music culture. But one of my favorite things that is currently happening right now is here in San Diego. There's somebody who does a party line, and it's not really just a party line for like parties, but it's also for like shows, for a lot of like every kind of music culture, any sort of art shows. Like if it's like a DIY kind of space, they'll like throw it on the phone line. I can't remember at the time like of this recording what the Instagram is. But if you go to the Instagram, it has the phone number there, and you could like call that phone number, and it's a recording, and it tells you like, hey, this week's shows are such and such and such. And it's a cool feeling to be able to like go to that. And I love that feeling, it's finding out on Instagram, on like social media. It's great. That's how I found out a lot about a lot of like shows, things like that. But hearing it firsthand from some sort of source that isn't like through some sort of social media platform is great. I love going to a music store and finding out about a show, or going to a comic book shop and finding out about a comic convention or like art show. It's something beautiful. And even the idea of going to like a store that sells physical media, there's something beautiful about that, and it makes you connect. It helps assist you to connect to like the world at large.
You can't scroll through the shelves, right?
Yeah, you can't. Like, you can't just swipe through, like,
no.
You look at the CDs, you look at the vinyl, you look at the DVDs and Blu-rays, and you're like, this is made by somebody.
I hear cassettes are making a comeback.
Well, yeah, they've been around for a minute now. Like, people are getting back into even making VHS. They're putting out like there's a movie that's just came out called Kim's Video, and it's a documentary on
Kim's Video.
Yeah, they came out with like a
video.
Kim's Video.
Great. Oh, I'm kidding.
It's a good one. But like, yeah,
wow, deep cut.
It's one of those things where it's like, I love the tangible world, and raves, parties, concerts are part of that world, and you can't recreate that with AI. You can't recreate going to shows. You can't recreate that, like that physical interaction between the performer and you. It's a lot of times you talk about like seeing shows and the whole thing of like, oh, I really felt that. You really do. Yeah. When you love music and you feel that even from afar. When this past Saturday, I went to go see Green Day for the first time. Thought I'd never see them in my life, but like, I saw them and they were still so far away. Yet, like, I remember just having this emotional response. I didn't think I was going to have such an emotional response to it, because they're like this teenage, like this band that I was a fan of when I was a teen. But now it's like, I'm in my 40s and I still have that visceral emotional reaction and connection to it. And like, I miss those days. And when I was watching this, it made me miss being a promoter. It's like almost like kind of like reignited my love for that, and made me spin my wheels a little bit more on possibly getting back into it. I don't know. We'll see.
You should.
But
you were good at it. Seriously.
Thank you. But yeah, that being said, I gave it a 3.5. It's still like I'll watch it again. It's very to me it has like a 3.5 for rewatchability. Even like how Justin said, it was like throw it in the background with the music. It's a really good soundtrack, and yeah, like and it's one of those soundtracks that's just like transcends a lot of like transcends time. It's timeless.
I just noticed your shirt, by the way. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, Slipknot is timeless as well.
Yeah, nice.
Adrian's never seen the Goonies.
I never have. We should
Really?
I know.
Oh
I
my
know.
Calling
God.
him out on it here, right now on this podcast. He's never seen it.
We have to watch it now.
Top Gun.
I heard you didn't want to watch it. That's what I heard.
Yeah. He's been refusing to watch it.
No,
I'm calling
watch
him
it.
out right now.
I'll watch it. Name the time and the place.
All right.
Hold on, did
My
you say
bed
you've never
right
seen
now.
Top Gun? Did you
I
say
haven't
you've
seen
never
Top
seen
Gun
Top
either.
Gun?
No.
Same.
Be on my top bunk.
It's weird. It's like I know it's just military propaganda. And it's like, do I really want to watch? But then it's like I know it's like one of the most famous movies. I don't know.
Come on,
I
Dad.
should.
I hate
Guitar riff and solo. Psh, forget
This is the
about
part where you say, "Get out of your ass about it. Just go watch it. Who cares about politics and all that bullshit?"
Y'all would watch another Jean-Claude Van Damme movie?
Yeah. I mean,
it. What's
that's the great thing about doing this show is that I've said it many times. So many movies I've watched and enjoyed. And even if they were bad, still enjoyed watching it because I never would have watched like Lawnmower Man. Like I never would have watched Lawnmower. Like my God, like what kind of movie is that?
Oh man.
So,
Never gonna
I
watch
saw
it
your
again
guys'
either.
I saw your guys' review on your review on Bloodsport, that episode. I watched that one. It was just
That's
interesting to see what you guys had
that's
to
a
say
great
about it because
episode.
I liked that movie growing up and just watching and revisiting it. I was like, oh my God, it's crazy.
and was it Rambo 5 or 4 that we watched?
Oh, Bloodsport.
No,
Bloodsport.
No,
no,
right,
we're
but
talking
we
about
also
Rocky.
watched
Oh, I see.
Rocky.
Rocky.
Sorry.
Oh, you guys watched Rocky?
What's the famous
Rocky
line,
4.
Justin? You said it.
Technically, it watched itself.
Watches itself for you. Yeah. That's.
Oh yeah.
great. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. You can
got
find me.
more.
You can find me Daily Dares on all the socials.
Nice. Are you on Threads? Should I be on Threads? Is anyone using Threads? don't
I
know
use
anymore.
Threads. I just kind of like link it and whatever links
that's
from
Yeah.
Facebook or Instagram goes there.
That's
Okay.
what I do, and I completely ignore it. And then sometimes, every now and again, there'll be like people that like it. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Whatever.
Then they tease you because on Instagram or Facebook you'll scroll and like, oh, let me look at that headline or that picture, and then it's like, oh, you have to it's on
you have to
Threads.
go to Threads. Yeah.
I have
Well,
Blue
I
Sky
opened
and
up
Twitter.
I opened up a Threads for Never Seen It. So
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
yeah,
Follow-
You guys should get on Blue Sky.
we're on Threads.
Yeah, we're on
Blue
Threads.
Sky.
We should get on. We should all be on Blue Sky because once Elon is finished fucking up Twitter, everyone's gonna just go to Blue Sky. So
Yeah.
Sky.
Got it.
Try.
yeah, Blue Sky is the Twitter alternative. Arnold, the guy that founded Twitter and sold it to that idiot Elon Musk, made his own version of Twitter. It's called Blue Sky.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought that was me back in the wannabe rave days when I was so high. I was like, "Why is the blue sky?"
Where did the accent? Where did that come from all of a sudden?
Don't you know whenever he gets high or drunk, he starts using a Filipino accent?
He code switches.
Yep.
Who here is the most fluent in Tagalog between the three of you? Would you say?
Donald.
Donald.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably me. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
You can-
My
you can
friend Alex, I think you met her. Tawny, she was on the old
Yeah.
show. She's Filipino. She moved to the Philippines recently, and it's
Oh,
been
really?
a very interesting experience for her. She says that everything takes forever to do over there, and I don't understand why. Like, maybe it's a cultural thing. She get to write stuff down a lot.
Island
Are they-
island time, like Hawaii.
Is that what it is?
All the time, yeah.
Island
Are they
time.
still
Oh,
on
okay.
analog over there?
Possibly Arnold.
They're on dial-up.
Arnold, show us your analog.
No.
Yo, fun fact, I didn't know English until I was in kindergarten. I was actually in ESL.
That's
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
because technically Spanish was my first language.
Yeah?
Because my dad doesn't,
Yeah.
he speaks English, but he doesn't speak it that great. And my mom speaks both languages pretty well. and she taught me more English, speaking it more to me naturally before I entered kindergarten. And I was watching an old, not to make this about me, but it is about me. I found an old tape from the early 2000s, and you hear me talking in the background, and I have such a Latino accent. I'm like, oh my God, I used to sound like that. I don't sound like that. It's weird.
That's because you're on TV now, man.
You lose your accent naturally, though, over time, I think. I don't know. It seems like you do, so.
I definitely lost mine.
Yeah. you lost your Durango accent?
Yeah.
Your Inland Empire accent.
Put those bagel bites in the air fryer, please.
Over time, I just learned to
Justin,
gooder.
Yeah.
You tell us. Final thoughts, rating. Where can we find you?
Fucking stupid. Fuck you guys. No, I'm just joking. No, honestly, I really liked the movie a lot more than I thought I was gonna like it. It reminded me of a lot of like the days I'd take my friends, go to raves, and then I would just be there enjoying the music, smoke a little pot, drink a little alcohol if it was available, and then watch them be silly and roll their heads off, and then I'd gather them all up and, take them home afterwards. But there was like a lot of that going on, a lot of people like sleeping in the bathrooms, a lot of people just touching each other, a lot of people just on the floor rubbing the grass and whatever it is, man.
It sounds like a really good time.
Everybody was just having a good time, just like living life on drugs. It was great. I think, and I was there to, rile them up or gather them up and take them home. But I want to say like a significant moment in the movie, and I don't know what it is lately about these last few movies about like the ending just being so perfect for me. But you know how like most movies, especially in like the early 2000s and even 90s, like they would do this like slow-mo stuff where it's like they're like, oh, we wanted slow-mo, but we already cut the movie, so let's like add it in last minute. It's kind of like a sped up slow-mo type of weird. In this movie, they did it so fucking well. It was so like the ending, like scene of everybody dancing to Digweed and everything. It was just like the slow-mo was done so fucking well. Yeah. And it just made me like go like, wow, this is a really nice topper for just the end of this night, the end of this movie. Because if you think about it, when you're done at like a show, a rave or anything, there is like that sense of bittersweetness at the end of the night where this is like the last song playing and you kind of just want it to just last forever. And that's the feeling I got out of the ending of that movie, where it's just like it's the end and you're just going to live it up for as long as you possibly can. And it really does feel like slow-mo sometimes. So I thought that ending to that was very beautiful. Everything wrapped up really well, just like in like Dazed and Confused and things like that. Honestly, I feel like I liked this movie better than Dazed and Confused. The gay couple ending up like, even though they never made it to the party, they still slapped in that tape for Digweed and they still enjoyed their time together. Everybody's stories wrapped up. Everybody had a great time regardless of what happened and who was there, and they were just living life. And it just takes me back to when I was like just there living my life. And I feel like I'm in a moment in my life now where I'm kind of just like, now I'm like allowed to kind of experience that again, if not more so, because I didn't really get that chance even when I was going to those parties. It was still like with my ex or with somebody else. And these days I'm like, I can kind of like get that sense of feeling again, and it's a very beautiful thing. This was a very beautiful movie. I liked it a lot. From beginning to end, the music was just consistently good. It was just a one giant party on my TV. It was great. I have no real issues with it. I will say that it maybe was a little bit campy in the beginning, But honestly, like what can you expect when you're trying to set something up and you're going into it with fresh eyes? I can't really judge it too hard on things like that because it ended up redeeming itself within the first 5 to 10 minutes anyway. So I gave it on Letterboxd a 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, you can find me, Shibs the Zombie, on Instagram. If you just go to Instagram, you can click on my profile and you can find all the links to all the things that I am also a part of. But I mostly just hang out on Instagram and doom scroll.
Nice. Very well said. Thank you for that, Justin. Oh, really quick rewatchability. What would you say?
Oh yeah, rewatchability. Again, this would probably be something like specifically I would be looking for like just a constant beat for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So it would be it would be like a background music kind of thing.
There you go.
Honestly, I may end up just like going through the movies like playlists and just finding all of like the songs that played and put it on my playlist. So as far as rewatchability goes, I really enjoyed watching it as it was for a first time. I would say rewatchability for me is about a 2.5. Yeah.
That's fair. And Alex, I didn't really quick with you. What's your you don't have to give a number if you don't want, but like, would you say it's a high rewatchability, low, somewhere in the middle?
Oh no, I gave a rewatchability. It was between 3.5 and 4.
Nice. All right, Arnold, tell us final thoughts and your score, and where can we find you?
So this movie was a really great time, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And I knew that it was about rave culture, and I didn't know or experience it like how they did in the movie. Um, but just one final thought that I had about the movie. So you remember the part when I guess David he gets to the rave, and then he goes into that like quieter room, and then there's like all this food there, and he pulls out money. He's like, "Yeah, how much here? Do you have change for 20?" And they're like, "Dude, man, put that away. It's all free. It's all he didn't experience the love. He didn't know, like, from the beginning of that rave, he's never experienced love like that. Like, and then then they drop, and then they then the whole all that happens. But then throughout the whole movie, like he changes a lot, and then he experiences another level of love. And but and then at the end of the movie, I don't know if you remember, I guess in San Francisco with like toll roads, he goes to the toll road, and then he has that same 20, and then it's probably like $2 or $4 or whatever, and then he's like he pauses and he hands it to the guy, and then the guy's like you can tell he's like gonna go get change for him, but then he just drives off, and then he has like this smile on his face where like uh from experiencing that love, he's passing it on, and then the guy, the toll road guy, is like, "Oh, all right, come on, guys." This guy is just spreading his love everywhere.
Yeah, spreading it.
Spreading it.
Which I thought was really cool, and
Yeah.
because I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I
love to spread the love.
Arnold likes to spray his love everywhere. Better watch out.
My lower lip. I mean, it was more just like I don't know.
You better bite that pillow.
This is brand new. I mean, I wouldn't even bite it. Like maybe the dogs
Sure.
would. Okay.
Yeah. There's nothing sacred.
I know what you're doing, trying to throw me off track.
No, never.
But yeah, I really like this movie. Oh, my Z rating. So,
oh yeah. Tell Donnie about this.
Since
what's this?
We're doing video.
If you don't know right now.
Before watching the movie, I had made these
what is
Korean.
that?
They're like Korean barbecue tacos.
That looks really good.
That looks good.
Has some grilled beef that I had marinated, some bulgogi beef, and some pickled daikon and carrot, and some cilantro, green onions, and some sriracha. And pictured there was 3 because I'm just eating a sensible amount,
Right.
but I probably had like twice that amount at least. And which normally 6 tacos, would that make you guys sleepy? It normally would make me
Probably.
sleepy. And
Make me
but
throw up.
We watched that movie. We ended up watching the movie after that. Didn't get sleepy one bit. Not so a 0 Z rating. So Donald,
Wow.
if it's
I get it. Z
zero
rating, get it.
Zs, yeah. But then like
Yeah, I got you.
other ones, yeah.
I get the joke. I get it.
So now my letterbox score would be I give it a 3.5. But my rewatchability score, I'd give it like a 4.5.
Wow.
Just because I want to keep. I don't know. I thrive out and feed off of a lot of energy from different things, and like if I want that vibe, if I want to keep it going, I'll put it on the background. And
Arnold's a true extrovert because he feeds off of like party energy. Not that, and this, I'm saying this as a like a positive note, Arnold. Don't get mad.
Oh,
like you and I are opposite.
I wasn't getting mad.
Don't get mad and show off your muscles.
Don't get
Actually,
mad and
yeah.
rip your shirt,
Do show your muscles, though.
Arnold.
What? Would you call me?
I can't
I
make
should see
a
the other guy.
Sloth's face like move.
Uh,
Hey, you guys.
Yeah. So those are my scores. You can find me Arnie Callego, ARNIE, Callego CALLEGO, on all the socials, from whether it be Instagram to Threads to X
To Snapchat.
TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
How about your OnlyFans? What's your OnlyFans?
Yeah.
I don't have one of those.
Oh,
Not
what
yet.
about your Fansly?
Fansly.
I'm not familiar with that.
How about your throne so they could buy you some sexy lingerie?
Oh,
Your Amazon wish list.
I'm a side. I don't know what that is. But Adrian, how about you? What did you think?
Well, thank you for Arnold for that. That's funny.
No, that was a really good throw. No, that was a really good throw.
Yeah.
Because you can't
Back to you in the studio.
you can't like throw it on yourself, splash it on yourself.
Not with that attitude. No, I enjoyed this movie. I mean, it's not the kind of movie that I would normally watch, like I said, but I enjoyed it for its sort of originality. It's sort of being kind of a niche. Oh, well, you have 2 of those pillows. That's fantastic. Arnold has 2 pillows, by the way, for those of you listening.
This is how I felt like after the movie, or like after like a good party. You just like,
Yeah. Good stuff.
Perfect recreation. Yeah.
How about the roller coaster? Give them. They give you roller coasters.
That's a double roller coaster. No, good movie. Overall, I enjoyed it. Not the kind of movie I would normally watch, like I said, but still very interesting to see that sort of. I wouldn't say firsthand, but that depiction of like a very niche subculture that felt very grounded in reality and stuff. So, I want to give it my letterbox rating a strong 3.5. For me personally, I would say it has a low rewatchability score, only because I don't know that I would rewatch this movie necessarily, and that's not an indictment on the movie. There's plenty of I wouldn't rewatch Uncut Gems, and I like that movie. That movie's crazy. So low rewatchability score for me. 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and you can find me on Letterboxd as well as any social media platform except Threads as of right now. At Boots Too Big, Boots Too Big. That's 2 zeros, and you can find the show as well on all social medias. The Never Seen It Podcast, neverseenitpodcast.com. Check that out. Follow the Never Seen It Podcast. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also TikTok, I believe. Check out our website, as I said. Send us an email, podcast.neverseenit@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And, of course, subscribe to our show on Spotify or iTunes, wherever you get your podcast from. Leave us a review. We'd appreciate that. I want to thank Maps and a Burn Cycle for our intro music. And follow Kyle on Instagram. He's at selfies_food_pet. Selfies_food_and_pets. Thanks to everyone for listening. Any last words? I'm starting to sound like Joe Biden now. I'm going to drop out of hosting this show. But yeah, that's where we're at. We are on socials. We are on the website. And any last words from anybody here? Any final thoughts? That's my favorite. I'll get high on ecstasy for that song any day of the week, boy, I tell you. Mortal Kombat!
Cool.
You win.